I am currently in the 5th smallest country in the world, home to a total of 30,000 people. Welcome to San Marino. It's a landlocked country that is surrounded on all sides by Italy. It was initially founded on top of a mountain and is probably best known around the world for having the lowest ranked football side. In this video, I went on a day trip there to see what San Marino was really about. But first, we need to go back to the start of my day from the Italian city of Bologna. Good morning, welcome from our wet and miserable Bologna. As you can probably guess, San Marino, being such a small country, doesn't have its own airport, so you have to fly into one of the nearby cities, and we chose to fly into Bologna. From here, it's about an hour and a half's drive, so hopefully we shouldn't be there in too long. Being in Italy, we had to get ourselves a classical Italian car for the journey to San Marino, and we have got ourselves a Fiat 500. I've never driven one before, but I'm sure it's going to be lots of fun. So, time for some fun facts about San Marino. It was founded in the year 321 by some refugees that were fleeing persecution all over Italy. They sort of settled on this hill, which is called Mount Turano, I think. And then since then, San Marino sort of absorbed some of the villages surrounding it to make it the 5th smallest country in the world. But primarily today, we're going to visit like the main mountain, which sort of forms the city of San Marino, and I guess it's the heart of San Marino. So yeah, looking forward to it. This will be my 40th country, so I am very, very excited. Just parked up at Poggio P9 car park, which is sort of the 9th level of the main car park here in San Marino. It's €8 for the whole day, so it's a pretty good deal. So if you do drive here, I think this is the best car park to park. If you do choose to get public transport, there is a bus here that comes from Rimini, which is the closest town to San Marino in Italy. It's about 20 minutes, half an hour away. Look at these amazing views from where we've just parked up. It's absolutely stunning. As I mentioned earlier, San Marino was built on top of a mountain, so you get lovely views like this all around the whole country. The centre of San Marino is located right at the top of the mountain. Luckily, from the car park, there are elevators that you can use that will get you right up to the entrance of the city centre. We've just walked into the historic centre of San Marino, and as you can see, it gives off a very medieval vibe. There's lots of like narrow streets and like very old buildings. We are definitely in for a workout today. Look how steep that path is. Even though San Marino doesn't really have a border and therefore doesn't really have some sort of passport control, you are able to get your stamp like in Liechtenstein, and it costs €5, and obviously I'm not going to miss the opportunity to get another stamp in my passport. So you also get a souvenir stamp with your official tourist stamp. It's quite nice, very pretty. So the main tourist attraction within San Marino are the 3 towers that sit on top of Mount Titano, and that's what we're going to go to now. The 3 towers of San Marino are a group of towers built at the highest points of the country on Monte Titano and feature on the national flag. They were built between the 11th and 14th centuries, along with other fortifications to help defend the country, and are now open to the public. We've just made it towards the entrance of the first tower, which is straight ahead, but I wanted to show you guys these amazing views, which seem to be getting even better the higher we climb. Straight ahead we have northern Italy, so like Bologna, which is somewhere up there, and then if you go a bit further along you get to like Milan and Torino and so forth. And then in front of us on this side we have eastern Italy with the Adriatic Sea in the background over there. Made it into the first tower. It cost €8 to visit the first tower and the second tower for adults, and €6 if you're a student. At the top of the tower they have a museum. It's a very small museum, but it gives a brief glimpse into the history of the towers of San Marino. And then ahead of us you have the main tower, which is just up there. I think you can climb all the way to the top just where those windows are, and I'm guessing that will give you the best views. What do you think of San Marino so far?
It's a bit small.
Over there in the distance you can see the second tower, which is a short walk from the first tower over here. There's a nice little pathway that connects the two. And then you can see the mountain as well, where the towers are all located. As I mentioned earlier, this hill, well this mountain shall I say, was where the refugees originally fled to and formed San Marino, and then these surrounding villages were sort of all added into San Marino over the various centuries. Just made it to the top of the first tower, which is this narrow room, and it has these narrow windows which you can peep out of. And when you look out of this window, you can get a great view of the city wall, which leads right up to the second tower, just over there in the distance, just over there, and that's where we're going next. On the way up, we had to climb up this narrow steps, which wasn't too bad, but on the way down, I think it's slightly more difficult, as you can see by the difficulty my sister's having. We're on the Passo della Strega, which is the pathway that leads from the first tower to the second tower, just over there, and that translates to the Witch's Tower. So there's a few theories as to why this is called the Witch's Path. The first theory is that this is where the witches used to gather back in the day. The second theory, it's a bit more haunting. Apparently they used to throw witches off like this path down into the hills below. Once you enter the second tower, you get access to a small medieval war museum that houses a range of weapons and armour, including this epic gold plate body. We've just made it to the top of the second tower, and this is the view from it. There's the first tower in the distance over there where we just came from, and this is the path we just walked along, the Passo della Strega. The scenery also looks amazing here. I feel like wherever you look in San Marino, the scenery is always stunning. Just finished with the second tower. Unfortunately, I can't visit the third tower. For some reason, it's closed to the public and has always been closed to the public. Now, if I'm doing a bit of research online, I know it used to be like the prison tower of San Marino and used to house inmates, but it's not used for that anymore, so I'm not entirely sure why it's still closed. If you do know, please let me know in the comments below. The time is now currently 4 p.m. We have only had one meal this whole day, so as you can imagine, we're pretty hungry. So it's time to grab some food and get a taste of local San Marino cuisine. The problem with trying to eat lunch at this time is that most of the restaurants in San Marino are closed. They close between 2:30 and 7, which we didn't know beforehand, so we're really struggling. We've already found a couple of places that are open, and all of them are serving limited menus. So yeah, it's not looking great. I got myself some lasagna for lunch, which I can assure you tasted a lot better than it looked. After lunch, I explored the local shops of San Marino that are often popular with Italian residents due to their lower tax rates, making luxury products more valuable. There also worryingly seems to be a plethora of gun shops. I'm not entirely sure why. San Marino is full of lots of squares, but we've come to the main one, Piazza del Libertà, which is sort of the main square of San Marino. This is where most of the public events take place. The square is quite small and it's also very quiet. San Marino has a lot of churches. In front of us we have probably the biggest and probably the most well-known church, Basilica di San Marino. We were planning to go inside, but as you can probably see, it looks closed, so we're just going to have to admire it from the outside. And I guess that brings me on to an important point. A lot of things in San Marino close quite early. For example, the towers we were at earlier closed by 4:30. This church is already closed. And San Marino also has a lot of museums, very weird and wonderful museum. There's a museum of curiosity, there's a museum of torture, there's a vampire museum, but they all also close early around 6 o'clock. So you need to take that into account if you do plan to visit San Marino. It's almost time to go home, but I have one last thing to do. If you've been watching my videos long enough, you'll know every single time I go to a new country, I get myself a postcard. So I'm going to have a walk around. There's quite a few souvenir shops here, so I'm hoping I'll be able to find a good postcard. The souvenir shop I went to had a number of postcards. After much deliberation, I decided to get this postcard off the towers. Do you think I made the right decision? The time is now 6:20. As you can see, the sun has set and it's starting to get quite dark, and it's also starting to get quite chilly as well. So now's probably a good time to wrap up this trip and head back to Bologna. I'll be honest, there wasn't a lot to see in San Marino, but I expected that. Just glad to tick it off as another country I've visited. I've almost completed Europe, just another 10 or so countries to go. But yeah, hopefully I've inspired you to visit San Marino through this video. Hopefully through this video I've shown you there's much more to San Marino than its football team. I hope you guys are doing well, stay safe, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.